Well, hello there. My name is Mark Miles, and I love helping trainers, presenters, workshop facilitators really take the results to the next level. So, in today's video, I want to talk to you about a topic that is something that audience members really are passionate about, but they're not willing to talk to you about. But that is the topic of icebreakers. And in the video today, I want to tell you, please, please stop using the icebreaker of the following. Please stop using the following icebreaker. Now, the icebreaker is please go and meet someone and tell them something interesting about yourself and why you've come along to the course. Now, excuse the expression, excuse the voice, but you have to realize how unpleasant that icebreaker actually is for your workshop participants and your audience members. Because what we need to realize is that an icebreaker fundamentally has two core things or two outcomes it's actually trying to achieve. Number one, it's actually trying to build rapport between the group members and the audience participants, right? So you have to filter your icebreaker through that outcome. The second is you are looking to actually create some linkage between the icebreaker and the topic or the content that you're about to go into. Okay, so we need to think, all right, if I've got someone to go and meet someone that they've never met before, and then think, okay, what do I tell them that's interesting about myself? And potentially, well, if I tell them that, what will they think of me? And then the whole question of why am I here? Well, maybe they're even going to say, oh, I'm only here because my boss told me I have to be here. All right. I don't want to be here, but I've got to be here. All right. And we need to realize that immediately you're going to put your audience members in a state of potential anxiety, a potential discomfort, and it's actually not going to achieve the outcome of actually building rapport. All right. But an icebreaker should actually break the ice. So what we also need to appreciate is that energizers or kind of weird activities where people come in with like toilet paper or, let's get everyone in a circle and wrap them in, rope or whatever it may be. Those kind of activities, yeah, they're okay. But if you do them too soon in a training session or workshop or a learning environment, people are going to freak out. It's like, what's going on here, right? You need to appreciate that in order for someone to learn, they need to feel safe. They need to feel safe and comfortable, right? So be strategic with your icebreakers. And what I highly recommend to people, even advanced trainers, even master trainers, should be adopting this idea that if you're doing an icebreaker, it should be two innocuous questions that people would feel comfortable sharing with each other. So the answers should be so comfortable and so easy to share. So, for example, if you're teaching on leadership, stand up, go and meet someone and share with them in your life who has been a really powerful leader and why were they a really powerful and impactful leader for you. Okay, that's two innocuous questions that are quite comfortable for someone to share. Another one could be maybe you're in a public speaking environment and maybe you go, all right, cool, go and meet someone, tell them what industry do you work in, and for you in your industry, who is one of the greatest communicators that you know about? Or it could be, let's say you're talking about how to run a great restaurant. All right, icebreaker. Go and meet someone, tell them your name, and tell them what's your favorite food and what's the best restaurant that you've ever been to that made you have a magical experience and why it was magical for you. It doesn't necessarily matter what the actual question is in the sense of you want to make sure it's a positive question. You want to make sure that it's going to relate to the topic, and you want to make sure it's a question that people would feel comfortable absolutely sharing. Because the last thing you want to do is get them sharing something that's a little bit too intimate or something that's going to open up a little bit of Pandora's box, right? You don't want to ask a question or get people to share the answer to a question of what's the most frustrating experience you've ever had? Or what's the hardest thing you've ever had to do, right? You don't want to go to the negative because it's going to suddenly create a negative vibe in your training room or your workshop or your audience that's come to listen to you. Now, you could certainly ask the question, what's the biggest thing you'd love to achieve from coming to today's workshop? That would be a great question to ask. But I wouldn't put it in the icebreaker section. I would have a completely separate section on personal goals and desired outcomes. That would be a great section to have later on, when you're doing your intro, a little bit after your icebreaker. You definitely want to ask that information and capture that information. When you leave today, what's the number one thing that you would love to achieve? It's a great question to ask, by the way. Now, the other thing is please do not do the thing of everyone, you've got 5 minutes or you've got 1 minute, stand up and tell the group some interesting things about you or do a self introduction. That is also another bad idea in regards to a self intro or an icebreaker, so to speak, because it's going to get crazy and it's going to really drag out the time, because as soon as somebody stands up and they start talking about themselves, they're going to get very animated. They're going to get either animated or uncomfortable. And suddenly the atmosphere of the room is going to get a little bit weird. And also, it's going to get a little bit hard to control time. And you're going to find if you've got 15 people or 20 people in a room and you get everyone to stand up and talk for a minute, that's actually quite a lot of time. So you need to be very careful to ever do that activity. I highly don't recommend you do it. All right. Instead, when you're doing your icebreaker, two simple, innocuous questions. Go and meet someone and ask them two questions. Could be something about something, but it's got to relate to the topic and it's got to be something that people would feel comfortable sharing. But please, don't do the one of go and meet someone and tell them one interesting thing about yourself and why you come along to the course or the workshop. It's a bad idea, folks. It does not meet the criteria of building rapport in the room and releasing the tension. It's actually potentially going to increase the tension, and people are going to feel, oh, that one again, oh, that icebreaker, I've done it so many times, and I'm sick of telling people that my favorite color is pink. All right, so please don't do that icebreaker. Instead, two innocuous questions that would incite a positive learning atmosphere and are going to get people excited to learn from the environment and potentially even learn from you. On that note, folks, thanks for watching the video. And as always, like, comment, share, and let's get this message out there so that we can really raise the standards of training in Australia and globally. Thanks for watching, team, and we'll see you on the next one.